What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well. And the Seahawks are traveling today, so we probably won't hear very much about them. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to turn our focus for a little bit towards something that right now may not seem super interesting to all of you, but as we go through this season and as we eventually get to the next off season and we get through free agency, it's going to start to warm up. So let's just go ahead and warm up our bats now. Let's just go ahead and start having a discussion about the 2025 NFL draft. And if it's a little too early for you to start thinking about the draft, that's totally fine. I like to go ahead and get this stuff out there now so I'm ready when things really start to warm up. And we are many months away from things truly warming up, but we will get there. So we're going to go ahead and kick things off with a look at the top players at the most important position in football. We're talking about quarterback in this video. So you guys know I'm a big fan of the NFL mock draft database for draft resources. The idea is that they take all major big boards and put them into an aggregate. Now, their aggregate, especially right now, is going to be a little bit tilted by the fact that we don't have a ton of data yet, but we do have a decent amount of data. So it's started to normalize a little bit. So you can take a look at this and you can see that there are a slew of quarterbacks that they think are going to go in or around the first round. We're going to be talking about their top 5 guys in this video. Basically, the 5 guys that look like first rounders. They have 4 quarterbacks in the top 25, and then they have one guy just outside the first round, Cam Ward. And if you come back tomorrow, they may have him in the first round. If you come back in a week, they might have him in the first round. So we'll lump them all together. Obviously, it's not every quarterback in this class that matters, but it's every quarterback in this class that is getting a lot of hype right now. I just want to explore them a little bit because obviously you're looking at 2025 for the Seahawks. We don't know what we're going to have at the position. Geno Smith is going to be entering the last year of his deal, and it's a big cap hit. We don't know if he's going to be here. Sam Howell is so cheap, and there's no guaranteed money on his deal next year. We don't know if he's going to be here. So we have no idea what's going on at the quarterback position past this season. So the possibility of this team going to the draft to address the position certainly exists. Although I will admit, I will concede that this is not last year's QB class. All right, so the first guy we're going to talk about for a little bit here is Carson Beck. This is the Georgia quarterback. He's currently considered to be the #1 quarterback in this class. Last year was his first year starting for Georgia. He played well, completed over 72% of his passes, almost 4,000 yards, 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, almost took Georgia to the playoff. They fell a little bit short in the final game. Also has positive rushing stats, which in college actually matters because when you lose yards every time you get sacked, it's hard to even have positive rushing yards as a quarterback. What I can say about Carson Beck as a quarterback, the pluses with him are pretty clear. He's very accurate, and he's not afraid to fit the ball into tight windows. He throws the ball with proper velocity to get the ball into a tight space. So in terms of his ability to pick apart a defense, it's there. He's a pretty good athlete. He can throw on the move. He can make plays on the move. You can bootleg him out and he'll be able to make a throw. He'll be able to do a little bit of damage with his legs. He's got a really nice compact release of the ball. So he's going to get the ball out quickly once he makes his decision. And he's a smart quarterback. This is a smart quarterback. He makes good decisions pre-snap and he makes good decisions post-snap. So you have a lot of the traits that you like with a quarterback with Carson Beck. And this, I was somebody who wasn't really too excited about him, but as I've looked into him a little bit more, I've come around a little bit. I think there's actually a lot here to like. In some ways, it's a little bit like CJ Stroud. And that goes right down to some of the things that I'm a little bit concerned about. Like, he's not proven under pressure yet. And by pressure, I mean blitzes. I mean defenders in his face. I mean throwing off platform. He's not very good. Remember, CJ Stroud had miserable numbers in college throwing when pressured. And a big reason why was because he almost never got pressured, so it was a tiny sample size. And when he got to the NFL, he showed that he could play under pressure, that he could use his legs, that he could buy time in the pocket and then still make a play. It was just a small sample size. So Carson Beck playing for Georgia, I mean, same kind of thing, right? You're on such a stacked team. You don't get pressured that much. Your job is easy. So we need to see a bit of that. The deep ball, I mean, he has a good arm, but it's not necessarily a deep ball arm, right? He's the kind of guy who puts a lot of zip on short passes, but he's not a guy who's going to be able to fling the ball 55 yards down the field into a shoebox and have it succeed a lot. It's like, Matt Hasselbeck had a lot of zip on short and intermediate passes, but never really had a great deep ball. That's the kind of stuff you see with Carson Beck, but certainly an all-around really good prospect worthy of being top 5 right now. Speaking of top 5, next guy is Shedeur Sanders. This is, of course, Deion Sanders' kid over in Colorado here. Colorado, very interesting year coming up for them. They disappointed tremendously last year after starting out strong. Shedeur Sanders didn't disappoint, though. He played. He could play. 69% completion percentage, 3,200 yards, 27 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, sterling passing numbers on a team that really didn't have much of an offensive line. They had some receiver talent, of course. Travis Hunter figures to be a big-time player in the upcoming draft, by the way. But, yeah, big-time numbers. The rushing numbers are not there. He gets sacked a lot. I do think he has mobility. I do think he has the ability to use his legs to get yards, but it's not going to show up in college, especially not on this team. He's got a great arm. He's got excellent accuracy. Like, in terms of arm talent, it's there. He's got the stuff that you're looking for. He's got a high football IQ. He diagnoses defenses really well pre and post snap. This is a smart quarterback. This is somebody who knows how to take a look at what's going on in front of him and make the right decisions. This is a guy who knows how to direct his blocking, knows how to audible, knows how to hot route. He's mobile enough to buy time in the pocket. He's got a solid deep ball, so his grit arm talent also comes with the ability to get the ball deep down the field well. The ball doesn't flutter and die at the end of a throw deep down the field. There are a lot of negative plays with Shedeur Sanders. He is somebody who will get pressured and then run backwards sometimes. Sometimes he'll try so hard to keep the play alive, he ends up just taking a bigger negative play. It's some of the stuff you saw with Russell Wilson near the end of his Seattle career. Sometimes he would do something crazy and make a big play, but a lot of the time, and later in his career, it got more and more to the negative. He would try to do something crazy, and it would just be a disaster. So there are a lot of negative plays with Shedeur. Now, maybe that goes away a little bit when he gets a real offensive line. His footwork in the pocket is not great, but that could get better. But the problem is he holds onto the ball too long. And while that would work with a good offensive line, maybe, it's not going to work when you don't have an offensive line. And the fact that he couldn't adjust to the offensive line that he had is a little bit of a concern. But it can't be overstated how bad that Colorado offensive line was. It was really bad. So I do think that we need to grade him on a little bit of a curve here. And, I mean, he played really well last year, right? And as of right now, this is another guy that the big boards have, generally speaking, in the top 5. That will probably end up happening. So another really good quarterback prospect, not on the level of what we saw last year, but good. Next guy is going to be Quinn Ewers, and we've been talking about this guy for a while now. He made a very surprising decision to stay in college for 2025. Of course, this is the Texas Longhorn guy. I don't really know what he's doing, by the way. He lost Xavier Worthy. He lost Adonai Mitchell. He lost Tavion Sanders. He lost, I think his name was Jordan Whittington. He lost both of his running backs. Like, he has lost everything from the 2023 Longhorns that made the playoff. So why he stayed back, I don't get it. But he has, and he's building on a season where he did play well. 69% completion, 3,500 yards, 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Numbers are pretty good. Little bit of rushing stuff as well. Again, it's hard to evaluate with a quarterback in college, but we are talking about a quarterback here who brings a lot of pedigree to the table. This is a guy who's been hyped for a while now. He's got a good arm talent, good ability to get the ball into tight windows with zip. He can play on the move. You can bootleg him. You can let him run around a little bit. He will do some stuff with his legs that are pretty good. He can attack the entire field. He can throw the ball short, intermediate, or deep. So he's using the whole field well. He's a smart decision maker. So you're going to get good pre-snap and post-snap decision making with him. He's an accurate quarterback. Fits the ball into tight windows. Throws with anticipation better than most college quarterbacks. He's somebody who will look at a play and go, well, this guy isn't open now, but if I throw it here, he will be open when the ball gets there, and make the throw. So there's plenty to like with Quinn Ewers. And we know, by the way, that John Schneider really likes this guy. So if John Schneider ends up taking this guy in the first round, and as of right now, he's projected to go in kind of the back part of the first round, it's believable. Even if it looks like we don't need an immediate quarterback, it won't be surprising because Schneider apparently is super into this guy because of his leadership qualities. The zip on downfield throws is lacking. This is where the arm isn't quite great or elite. It's a good arm, but when it comes to him trying to attack deep down the field, I'm not really seeing it the way I see it with some truly elite quarterbacks. He does have a tendency to throw sidearm, and sidearm quarterbacks get their passes batted down, and that's going to diminish your ability to produce a little bit, especially when you get to the NFL. So mechanically, there's something to work on. And he's got a little bit of a track record of getting injured, right? Like, he's been injured at least some of the time. He's missed time both of his 2 years starting in Texas. But good quarterback. We're definitely starting to get past the true blue chippers, I think, already with Ewers. But there's a lot to like. And I don't totally agree with Schneider here, but I do get some of it. Okay, our next quarterback that I think is likely to be a first-round guy will be Jalen Milroe of Alabama. He was a first-year starter in 2023. Alabama did make the playoff with him. They lost in their first game, but it was a successful year for Jalen Milroe overall. Completion percentage kind of forgettable at 66%, and that's playing at Alabama where you have really good talent around you. 2,800 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Rushing stats are really impressive. 12 rushing touchdowns, over 500 yards. So he's a true dual threat. In every sense of the word, Jalen Milroe is a dual threat quarterback. He's a threat to win the Heisman this year for Alabama. He might be the most talented quarterback in this class. I'll put it that way. The talent is there. He's got a great arm and he's got great legs. So if you want somebody with potential, yeah, Milroe is your guy. He's got the arm to make all the throws down the field. He's somebody who's going to be able to fling the ball 55 yards down the field. He's got that kind of an arm, and it's going to go out with zip, and it's going to get to its destination with purpose and authority. He does evade pressure well. He's somebody who can buy time in the pocket and make throws. He's somebody who can buy time and then go make something happen with his legs. He's deadly running for yards. Alabama used him as a designed runner a lot and also had him run out of a passing play quite often as well. There's also a little bit of power in his running. So there could be a little bit of Jalen Hurts here. Could be a little bit of like maybe a Bo Nix here. I don't know if Bo Nix is going to be used like that in the NFL. But if you're looking at a success story for Jalen Milroe, you'd probably start with Jalen Hurts. Just Milroe does have a better arm. He can actually get the ball deep down the field with zip. Now, when I say all that, there's also stuff that comes with that. Jalen Milroe, not very good football IQ. Pre-snap, post-snap, mental acuity, it's not there. He's inaccurate, does not hit the target reliably. And if you throw blitzes at him, throw confusing, complex defenses at him, he'll be confused. Needs to prove he can move past those things. Right now, this is a quarterback who has $1 million body, but it's a little bit of a 10-cent head. And if he can improve this year, then you've got a guy who I think is a threat to go top 10, but a lot of the time I watched him last year, I was just kind of confused. I just didn't really like what I saw, and I don't think this is a quarterback that's going to succeed in the NFL as is. Can he get better? Sure, it happens, but I need to actually see it. Right now I see a guy who's going to get confused by NFL-level defenses and a guy who is going to ultimately get put in bad situations and make them worse with his decision making. Okay, final guy for this video is going to be Cameron Ward, transferred to Miami of Florida. Again, he is just barely outside the first round, but I personally believe that Cam Ward will end up as a first-round quarterback this year unless there's not a big need for quarterback with the teams that are drafting this year, which is possible. Remember, last year we had 6 guys go in the top 12. That means that a lot of the teams that may have needed a quarterback now have one, so you might only see a few quarterbacks go in the first round just because of that. But in terms of his ability and his production, I think Cam Ward will go in the first round. Last year for Washington State, he, I thought, made big strides over his previous play. Also at Washington State, 67% completion, 3,700 yards, 25 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, playing on a team that wasn't great, right? It was a good team, but it was far from the star-studded team that you saw some of these other top quarterbacks play with, right? Like, look at the team that Carson Beck has around him. Look at the team that Quinn Ewers had around him last year. It's not even close. So he puts up nice passing numbers. The rushing numbers are pretty decent too. Not huge or anything, but again, that has more to do with the way college keeps track of this. And there is a lot that Cam needs to work on, but there's also some stuff that is really exciting. I think the main thing that he brings to the table is how good he is when he's off platform and off script. When you put pressure on him, Cam Ward is able to find a way to still make a play consistently. So it's a little Mahomes-like in that regard, I would say. He's really good off platform. His arm talent is good in short pass and intermediate pass situations. He's able to put zip on the ball and fit the ball into tight windows. He's not afraid to take chances. He's not afraid to push his luck a little bit. He handles pressure well. When there's blitz, he's able to pick it up or identify it and move out of the way in time. So there's plenty of stuff to like here with Cam Ward that you don't always see with these younger quarterbacks. Now, there are a lot of issues. His deep ball is not there, and I don't know if it ever will be. He doesn't have a deep ball arm. He has it's a Matt Hasselbeck thing once again. It's like you got plenty of zip for the short stuff and the intermediate stuff, but you don't quite get there on the deep stuff. The mechanical problems with his release and his footwork are lacking. He does tend to hold onto the ball too long. His decision-making isn't great. He takes too long to scan the field. So the mental part of the game is not all the way there yet. There are some parts of it that are good. It's not a Jalen Milroe situation for me, but it is noteworthy. And he fumbles the ball a lot. He has like 31 fumbles over the last 3 years of football. That's almost 1 fumble every game. So there's a plenty to work on here, but the off-platform stuff is going to be really appetizing for some team out there. All right, those are your first-round quarterbacks as I see it right now. Let me know what you think down below. See you guys later. Go Hawks.